This trip starts at the wyperfeld Caravan Park, a lovely caravan park owned by the Shire, which was quite full. It's undergoing a state of renovation, and they had nice camping area, nice little kitchen, places to eat your lunch and dinner. Toilets are being renovated. There was a billabong right next door where there were ducks, and the views from this area were just tremendous. There's a nice little walk you can do around the area, and it made a very nice Thursday night before we met up with our group in Rainbow on Friday.
It's Friday morning. We've just left wyperfeld and we're heading towards Rainbow. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's 11 degrees outside and it should be a great day.
So the Landrover Owners Club of Victoria was having a trip in the Big Desert, Wyperfeld National Park, and we were going to meet at Rainbow at 10. So there were 20 vehicles meeting, and we split into two groups of 10. So our group was the second group, led by John Munro.
And on your right hand side is here, what they call a sandfire saltbush flat. A lot of these salt flats had very good gypsum underneath it. In the early days it was mined for your gypsum board that was used in the house. Big eagle there on the left sitting on the saltbush.
After leaving Rainbow, we headed west towards the Amy Johnston Highway, which took us south to distant views of Lake Hindmarsh. From there we headed west along a netting fence road, and then finally north up Chinaman Well Track.
We're heading north on Well Track. Quite easy going, but very up and down.
We did stop at one point and lower tyre pressures first time, and also fit sand flags. As in all Land Rover trips, not everything goes according to plan, and one of our members had an overheating problem. Interesting bonnet holder. After some investigation, we continued on, but unfortunately not for too long. As the overheating problem continued, and turns out the problem was two faulty relays, and amazingly we had spares for this amongst the group, and once they were replaced, the problem was fixed for good. There were some interesting dunes along this track, and this proved to be a settling in period for us to adjust our tyre pressures appropriately. So you can see I've put a little number in the screen to indicate how many goes people had at getting over. As this was a low pressure trip, it was a good opportunity to learn how to climb over the dunes, whether you could do it from a standing start halfway up, or whether you needed to have a very long run up. The takeaway for me is that low tyre pressures are the key. That's the number one thing. And then the second thing, the chance of being able to restart from near the top or part the way up the hill and make it over is very low. A high speed, not that I think that's great, will certainly help. Got more momentum to make it up the hill. Woohoo! And this is a view from inside one of the cars going up the hills. Coming along after someone else is always easier, and this car had much lower tyre pressures than the first Discovery 2 we saw going up the hill. This Discovery 4 has similar tyre pressures to that second Discovery 2 we just saw. The Pajero Sport also had pretty low tyre pressures, but it is a very light car. And then our Taylor and Charlie in their dual cab TD5 130 makes it look easy. From here it was on to find our campsite for the first night. This was a lovely little spot on the side of the road, and we had a crystal clear night with the stars blazing. The night was quite cold and there was a heavy dew. On leaving camp, we headed northwest up Milmed Rock track. This is a generally easy track, but there are a few interesting challenges along the way. This is perhaps the most difficult hill, and there are 3 different ways to get to the top. Probably the one on the right is the most difficult, and then as we head towards the left they get easier. All of the vehicles in our group made it to the top without assistance, and I think we were helped by the damp sand. So as you can see in the pictures, the sand that's churned up is clearly damp underneath the dry top. Rob does a great job of piloting this 6x6 Parenti, and is able to get it just about anywhere we need to go. Next up is Mick in his TD5 single cab Defender. And after a couple of goes, he's through. Driving up the hill, there was plenty of evidence of people not having lowered their tyre pressure sufficiently. The diagonally opposite holes, which were created, are caused by people's tyres spinning as they're going too quickly up the hill. This makes for a bumpy, unpleasant ride and makes it harder for the next person coming along. The Discovery 3 can be seen dealing with the holes left by previous people as its alternate wheels spit up sand. Discovery 2. Here we are going slow and steady. We've got tyre pressures somewhere between 11 and 16 psi. As we get to the holes which were cross-axled or alternately dug out, you can see we're slowing down so it's not too rocky. And just trying our best not to have any wheel spin as we go up. Because the sand's so wet, this approach proves quite effective. A Discovery 4. This time taking the middle track, which is not cut up as much as the one on the right. And we've got good solid progress. And the tyres here are around 15 psi. Next up is the much lighter Pajero Sport. And we can see as it comes over the crest that there's no wheel spin, so it's making good solid progress too. And it has no trouble. And the last one in our group for this hill is our ever reliable 130 TD5. which seems just about unstoppable. We didn't finish Milmed Track until late in the afternoon, and from there we turned north onto Murrayville Track, which is an easy two-wheel drive track, heading north to our campsite. We are going to meet up with the other group of 10 vehicles at Coburn Pines, a huge open area which could easily handle the 20 vehicles that made up our group. With wood picked up along the route, we had a tremendous fire. The following morning, we went for a 100-metre or so walk to a local soak where there was groundwater, where all the animals in the local area came to drink. We never would have found this had we not been given instructions by a local farmer.
Sunday, and we're driving along Firebreak Track heading east. So on the right hand side is park, and on the left hand side are farms. Every now and then you can see the field over the top of the little trees here. So we're heading off to Snowdrift today.
It's the off-road self-steering in the Landrover Discovery 4. It's an advanced setup that requires a huge investment in computer analysis and specific coding. Occasionally, as you just saw, it needs driver intervention for safety reasons, but otherwise it's completely hands-free for 80% of driving. Welcome to Landrover. Some oscillation is normal, don't be alarmed.
As we continued along Firebreak Track, we came across many hills which we had some trouble getting over, and I've included a couple of our series of attempts of getting over, just to give you a sense of what the track's like. The 6x6 Parenti is really heavy, and it is just amazing where that car is able to go. So the tracks are not quite as damp as they have been the last couple of days. So it's a bit tougher getting over some of the dunes. So this time we're so close to the top with the car that the best thing is to get out a rope and tow it across the top of the hill. The first thing to do is to get out some sand tracks in this case, and dig out some of the sand in front of the wheels to make it easier. You can see that when the sandboard goes in, that the little rope is thrown out to the side so that the board doesn't get lost buried under sand somewhere.
Just sitting on the bottom level.
And with all the pre-work done and the rope tensioned up, it's time for the lead vehicle to give the Parenti a little pull. And with almost no effort, the Parenti is free and we can continue on our way. The Discovery 3 is next, and it's got a good long run up, and you can see they're giving it the beans to make sure they don't get stuck as they go across the top. After that we've got the Discovery 2, and we're having a good long run up too. But we don't quite make it and we need to back down and have another try. This one's an automatic. Don't think we're going quite as fast as we were the first time. So we'll back up for a third go. And with just that little extra bit of speed,
Only just. Don't run it. It's just real soft at the top.
next we have the Discovery 4. Scott's really going for it. So I know that the car today's got a few more pounds in it than it did on the earlier days, and the changed sand conditions, it's just not quite enough to get over. So as an experiment, let's try not backing down all the way and see if that works. Nope, that ain't gonna work. You need a bigger run up than that. This time with a little bit of track work and another run from the very bottom, we'll see how we go. There we go. And the final car in the convoy, the TD5 130, has no troubles at all. After a while, all the sandhills begin to look familiar or similar, and this next sequence is actually a different hill, but the problems are the same. So this time going a bit faster than normal.
He always does a nice steady pace up. Yeah. Look. Yeah, it makes it look really easy.
And a quick slow down at the top just to see what's over the edge, and select a lower gear and off we go. Next up is Gotham in his ever capable Pajero Sport, and he has no trouble at all. Finally Steve in the 130 TD5, but this time he's not going to make it and he's going to have to go back and have another go. So Steve's got a good long run up and has a bit of a surprise for us. And taking this other track, which is a bit firmer, he doesn't have any trouble getting to the top this time. As we were going along, if we saw some suitable looking wood, we would stop and collect some of it, so we would have a good fire for the night. The final campsite was an excellent spot, just in the middle of nowhere. Overnight we had a dew, and out over the plain there was a little bit of a fog. So there was no wind at all, absolutely breathless. The fire stayed lit overnight, so with a bit more fuel, we had a fire in the morning to warm ourselves up with, before we packed up and headed off to our next destination. And our final day saw us heading towards Snowdrift, a spectacular sandhill which, not surprisingly, looks like snow. At Snowdrift we pumped up our tyres. Some had more trouble than others. From here we headed to Patchywallach, which was the official end of the trip, and as it turns out, start of the Silo Art Trail. On the way back to Melbourne, we thought we'd stop in at Lake Tyrrell, just north of Sea Lake. It unusually has water in it and is well worth a stop for a quick look. It's a short walk from the car park down to the edge of the lake. It was a great long weekend spent with the Landrover Club in some interesting countryside and some suitably challenging four-wheel driving. I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.